Let's do it.
What's up? Welcome to YouTube. Exclusive content for the YouTube. Video content for the YouTube. Welcome everyone. We hope you enjoy the podcast every week. We hope you come here for clips that I have time to put out and whatnot. This is an exclusive clip for YouTube because if you saw our last YouTube post, we talked all about AEW probably a week too soon.
Skylar rushing us into that episode. God damn it.
And we fucking waited and waited and waited. And if we just
still
waited
went too soon.
And if we just waited one more week. Because goddamn.
Wow.
We're not here to be the 10,000th person that has posted something rehashing the details of this alleged media scrum fallout.
Super kick party! My neighbors definitely heard that.
I will once again ask, did the Young Bucks slap their thigh when they kicked that door down? Allegedly. Look.
Did anybody get an update if Larry was received any charges?
Apparently Larry was pissed.
Apparently.
I would think
I'd be
so.
pissed. I'd be pissed.
I'd be pissed.
Everybody was pissed. We're pretty much here to just give our opinion on it, what the potential fallout is. As you know, CM Punk goes off at the media scrum. It turns into a whole thing. He pretty much says the EVPs can't run a Target, which I think it's kind of difficult to run a Target. Working retail sucks. Very much so. I just
cut him some slack, Phil.
That really popped me. I don't know why.
You worked in a Walmart, so
that's why it popped me.
And I worked for where I worked for 12 years.
It's just it doesn't look easy. So I don't know why that throwing that out as an insult. It's an insult to Target managers.
Get it, but
right. That's beside the point.
It didn't work.
I guess we clearly know what's going. We know we're recording this on September 9th. This all happened last Sunday, 5 days ago as of the posting of this.
But it is wrestling.
It is.
And it is significant.
Right.
Who the fuck?
When you come at someone, regardless of how you feel about them, unprovoked, it's just not a good look.
Yeah.
Obviously.
I'll agree with that.
Obviously, talking about Colt Cabana, you want to say
seems off the rails like right from the start.
Right. Like you just won the world title. And I understand having these media scrums. I understand you want to, because listen, whether you want to, however you want to look at wrestling, there are like people that report on this stuff. They have websites, blogs, podcasts, whatever. You invite all these people there. You want them to ask questions. It gets you more coverage. I understand why you have these media scrums, but just weird from the start, man. He's just ripping stuff down. And I think my opinion on that in itself, I know we're not trying to rehash every detail, but to me, it just comes off as whiny. It comes off as just like, I just don't get it. All this stuff made sense. Maybe when you're in WWE, you could make the argument that Vince McMahon might not have been a big fan. Triple H might not have been a big fan. So maybe you could argue they're holding you back, but for maybe main eventing WrestleMania, but they handed Tony Khan's handed him everything in AEW. And I don't know what he has to be so bitter about. You literally won the world title, got hurt, came back, won the world title again. And then this is the route that you go. I didn't get it. And it just, like I said, it comes off as whiny and bitter to me. And it doesn't make sense in this. And I've said it before. All the stuff in the prior press conferences where any chance he would get, he would rip WWE. It just felt like you're in a new relationship, but all you do is bring up an ex as opposed to just focusing on what you're doing now. And then this stuff, it just seems like more bitterness and stuff, but I'll pass it along to Skylar because this is YouTube and you've got the CM Punk shirt on. So you clearly might have a different opinion than me. So go on.
Not necessarily. First off, as I mentioned off the air, some people just want to watch the world burn, and I am one of them.
We like to call ourselves nihilists.
That having been said, I'm not necessarily defending CM Punk. it's a mix of juries or waiting for all the facts, and as well as I think some people might give a little too much rope to the Young Bucks and to a lesser extent Kenny. Because I mean, I don't know this for trying to be careful with my words.
We don't know anything for a fact. This is all just speculation.
This is
So
all
we'll
just
leave it at that.
speculation.
And then you
That's
can
all we're
say whatever
doing.
you want, Skylar, but it's all speculation. I don't think anybody's going to like try to hold you to any facts.
No.
Yes. Tony still let us do the podcast.
Oh, we're doing.
I don't. Well, I think the easiest way to kind of distill what I'm trying to say is there's no fucking way that any of those people should be an EVP, however real or not, however official or unofficial the title is. I mean, it's an official title. How much could like they run the show? Basically, I think that's a terrible idea, and I think with the Young Bucks, that's and so I think that there's that aspect to look into it.
Right.
Okay, I know I'm kind of like trailing off. It's just like I'm trying my damnedest to like kind of be careful with what I say a little bit.
I'm just saying, don't be careful.
I'm not going to be careful at all.
I'm not being careful. I'll wait for my thoughts.
Listen,
Craig,
listen, sometimes I feel that the Young Bucks aren't exactly maybe the easiest to get along with either. Maybe they can be more diplomatic, but maybe sometimes they could be like, it feels like they're the new clique, and they would probably tell you that too.
Right.
And if you go behind the scenes with that, do you understand what I'm saying? Basically,
Yeah, no, absolutely.
they're telling Brett to do the job. No, they're not, but that's what I'm kind of.
I'm just, I suppose I'm confused
as far as
what you're saying, because it's
right, ask me a question because maybe it'll help me formulate better.
Like, I guess I don't necessarily disagree with you about the Young Bucks with what you're saying, but what's I guess I'm curious, what does CM Punk have to be mad about in AEW? He's literally the top guy. This is what he wants.
Nothing. Okay. Yeah. Because originally when I heard it, I thought somebody like just like the mic was off or something like that brought up the topic. So like for a bit, I was just like, why the fuck would you ask him this question right after he just went through that match? I'd be fucking angry and cranky too, honestly.
Right. Well,
I don't
forget.
think anybody asked him about it though.
No.
Yeah. That the more I learned about that, the more I was just like,
but I think
something's bothering you, Phil, but
right.
Now's not the time or the place.
But it's like he's literally, for the year he's been there, he's been the top guy, the top draw. He's been in the top feud. I mean, sure, maybe behind the scenes he may not agree with the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, the Elite and whatnot, but at the same time, why should he care? Why make a big thing of it publicly when
they are kind of I don't know. He for some reason he felt he needed to defend the good name of Phil Brooks.
I don't know. I
like,
suppose,
dude, you didn't talk about it this entire time. If you had kept it that way, it would have been fine.
Yeah. Well, just to move it along, Craig, your thoughts on this whole thing to start.
So, like, I don't really want to try to even form an opinion on who I think like is at fault or more at fault or whatever. What I will say is that like I think like the key part of this that we haven't really touched on, and I don't want to obviously rehash the whole series of events that led up to this, but I think the major thing that happened was when Hangman cut that promo on CM Punk. He took offense to it about saying how he's defending All Elite Wrestling from Punk, and some of the things he said in there just really bothered Punk. So when Punk came back to TV, and I remember when I was watching this episode, I thought that this was very strange. Obviously at the time I didn't know this was a fucking shoot. I thought this was part of the show.
Right.
But CM Punk comes out and the first thing he does is call out Hangman and calls him a coward, calls him a bitch on TV. Do you know how fucking bad that is for it to not be a thing that's scripted, for like Hangman not to come out, he handcuffed him. He handcuffed Paige into looking like a coward, because what is Paige going to do there? Is he going to run past the curtain and go confront CM Punk in the ring when he's not scheduled to be on that part of the show? Is he going to go to Tony Khan, or, what do you do there? So he put him in such a weird spot. Like, and I immediately thought, this looks bad. Like, I don't know who wrote this, or if, again, at the time thinking as if it was part of the show, I was like, I don't know who wrote this, or who thought this was a good idea, but you just made one of your top contenders for the world title look like he's a nobody.
This reminds me, just a quick little, Shawn Michaels did this in '97, just gets fresh in my mind. The Undertaker wasn't at a taping, and it was taped so they could edit it, but he called the Undertaker chicken shit and ran him down and stuff. And the Undertaker obviously wasn't there to come down. So for the live crowd, the Undertaker looks like shit. You take this same scenario and it's on live TV now, and now Paige looks silly all around.
And you know who CM Punk fucking can't stand? Shawn Michaels. Especially that era of Shawn Michaels. And here you are doing the same fucking thing to one of the top guys on the program, and technically kind of in name, probably in name only, one of your bosses. But it's absolutely ridiculous that he did that. I think now, knowing what I know now, I think that was over the line. And I think that kind of just started it. And I think I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to place blame on the whole fight situation itself and see who's more at fault for that situation going off the rails the way it did. But I will say that I feel like Punk's attitude towards the Elite and Hangman Adam Page specifically is really what kind of set this whole powder keg off. And I think that the way he went about it from the start was just wrong.
Agreed.
And I think it makes everybody look bad. I think it makes him look bad. I think it made Page look terrible on TV. I think it makes Tony Khan look bad. It looks like, the inmates are running the asylum right now. And that brings up so my question to you guys kind of brings me to that is, what's the next step here? Because obviously we're hearing whispers of suspensions and possibly firings and everything else. But I asked you guys a question in the group chat, and I'd like for you guys to answer it here on the show. What's Tony Khan going to do if it comes down between choosing the financial benefit and the draw of CM Punk, or the group of people he literally started the company with?
I want to take this by saying, so they were suspended, world title vacated. I'm not going to go over the whole Dynamite episode. World title vacated, trios titles vacated. They had the match on Dynamite for it, to get the trios titles off of them. It's very telling, by the way, that they did strip both titles, which to me says that both suspensions are long enough that they couldn't just, it wasn't Punk got hurt, so they had that. It seems like they were going to do this anyway.
Yeah. They've just done now twice now, by the way, just a quick point, twice now in the past 2-3 months. They've made it they've kind of set this standard where they make interim championships. So the fact that they stripped them,
no interim.
Okay. Yeah.
That's my point. Yep. The fact that they stripped them and are not declaring them champions right now, or in any way, is a very telling thing to me.
I feel
you have this standard set right now.
Yep.
So if you know that, okay, if you come back or when you come back, you're not automatically going to be in the main event or the title picture. Yep. That's a telling sign to me.
Agreed. I'll just say, because I usually catch up on Dynamite, whether it's social media clips and stuff, but this week I actually made it a point to put it on as it was going on, and the show felt very refreshing without Punk and without all of the Elite guys. And I know Omega's been gone for a little while, but I'm kind of just grouping him in with the Young Bucks. It was very refreshing to not see the show almost essentially revolve all around them. For the first time in a long time, it felt like we were getting back to when this company started, 2019, early 2020, which, obviously I know that the Bucks and Omega were there, but it felt very refreshing to not have everything revolve around them. And it felt like just from the one show, and I don't know if they had some kind of talent meeting, because it seemed like a lot of dudes were fired up, especially Mox and Jericho.
Oh, they had to be.
And MJF and all those guys. But just watching that show, it was a really good show. And and I know they planned their main event, Daniel Garcia and Wheeler Yuta, which I'll watch those guys have a match every week if they have to.
Yep.
Those guys are great. But it was a great Dynamite, and I didn't feel like I missed any of those guys, and the show was still very good. Like I said, I don't know if that opinion is shared, but just for me, it felt refreshing, and to me, it felt like they could fire everybody and just listen. You guys fucked up. You're all gone, and I think they'd be okay.
I'm not saying you're wrong there. I'll tell you that. I do think about like kind of the timing of all this, but you have a real chance to start building some of these homegrown talents, like we were talking last week, and really start rebuilding them again. Start remembering some of those names that you've signed and that you've been kind of kicking around, and your homegrown guys both. But on top of that, the timing of it with MJF's return, I can't help but think about that now, because now you just suspended pretty much all of your top guys.
Yep.
But you just got your youngest, probably hippest, probably, as he said in his promo, second biggest guy back in the company, back in the fold.
Yep.
That's got to be kind of a mind fuck for MJF, I would think, at this moment. Like, think about that. Like, he just came back. Obviously, he's getting the title shot, so he knows he's getting kind of a push anyway.
He's going to be champion very soon. I
100% agree with you. But he knows the push is coming anyway. But now basically all of that competition that's kind of around you for that top guy spot, they're jammed up right now, because even when they come back, things are not going to be the same. Like, they're a little jammed up. So they're all going to be hitting the road for a little while. They're all gone. Now you are the top guy. Now, all the shit that you were saying in your promo a couple months ago, it is now time for you to prove. So right now, MJF, he's got to be top of the mountain. He's got to be the guy. He's got to be the draw of that company. He said that he was the second biggest. Well, guess what? The number one guy is gone now.
Yep.
So now you got to come in and you got to be number one.
Agreed. I hope they do it. And it's like,
damn, I haven't heard anyone make that take on MJF yet. Bravo.
How about that? That?
Well, he delivered on the most recent Dynamite. So far, so good.
He always delivers. I have 100% faith in MJF to be that top guy, by the way. I think MJF is the future of professional wrestling. And I this is very marky of me to say, and I fully admit that, but I've been on the MJF bandwagon since the first time I fucking seen him cut a promo. Like, the dude just gets it. 100% gets it. And he's old school, like the way I was trained in a bit. So like, I kind of like that too.
He has an old school vibe to like his wrestling in the ring as well.
No, 100%. Like, some of the stuff he does is like some of the shit he does is like comedy heel spots that they did in like the 80s that you don't see anymore.
Yep.
Like the whining and the backing up and the praying and like, yeah, you don't see shit like that anymore. Like, now heels, like, they're too cool for that. They don't want to be looked at as a wimp. MJF has no problem being the wimp, but when he needs to be, and he's fucking great at it.
I will say there's only one thing I'm bummed about. I kind of wanted him to keep with the like black jacket and black pants and black gloves shit for a little bit. With
the Joker shit? Why? That's stupid.
Just for like a little bit, just to kind of be like, he's still MJF, but like just a little like dark.
I don't like that take, Skylar. I think that's a bad take.
Well, I mean,
not to mention he conned his way into the title shot.
Well, yeah, but that's MJF.
Yep.
Also, I kind of want to know what happens with him and Stokely and those guys.
They'll get there.
Yeah,
they have that's genius on the Indies and stuff.
That was as much as like, there's a lot of debate over the ending of that ladder match, but
it was fine.
Can't doubt it was creative.
No, exactly. It was good.
Yep.
And they got their spots and they had their typical ladder match, and I love the ending. That was the best way to give it to get him to win that. So I mean, I know my opinion of you could fire everybody, and I think AEW would be fine. I know that's not realistic. I honestly think I don't see Punk coming back. Like, really? I don't see him coming from either side. I could see Punk being like, I'm done with this shit. And I could see Tony Khan just being, if he's truly that disliked, because I don't know if it's just the elite that dislikes him. I don't know if there's other people like I said.
So real quick,
We don't
I've
know
read a
because I
couple.
do. Well, I just want to say real quick, because to bring up to that point, there are supposedly reports. Again, this is all shit that we're reading online just as everybody else is. So it's not like we have any insider information.
Right.
But from the shit that I have been reading is they're saying that there are a lot of people in that locker room that are on Punk's side, which is I think the only reason why I'm not so sure Punk could just be like done with this, because I think like if he really does have the supporters in that locker room like is being reported right now,
right,
maybe like this is why I kind of brought up that point, like where does Tony Khan go then? Because now if you have to make that choice and your locker room saying like he's not the problem, these guys are the problem, what are you going to do?
Yeah. I mean, for one,
especially when he is your number one draw, he is your number one money maker. And if there are other people saying your money maker's not the problem, these guys who think that they're running the company are the problem, what is Tony going to do at the end of the day?
It's a tough. It's definitely the toughest call he's had to make so far.
I think I've said it before. I have trouble. I would have trouble trusting a open door policy to a group that has a direct pipeline to Meltzer. Yeah,
you mentioned that, and it's you're not wrong, because like I'm sure that goes through some wrestlers' minds where like if they think to themselves like, oh, if I go ask for more money or if I go ask for a push and they don't think I'm worth it, they're gonna go fucking tell Dave Meltzer like, oh, I'm disgruntled or I'm asking for too much or I'm whatever other dirt they want to fucking throw on. And I'm not saying that they would do that, but I'm saying that like that might be a thought that goes through certain guys' heads, I'm sure.
I mean,
especially the real lower, like bottom tier guys, like do you think Fuego del Sol is like really trying to like ask for favors?
Probably not.
Well, what I was going to say was the media was one of the clouds that Old Man Punk was yelling at.
Yeah. No, well, he yelled at them a lot. That's for sure.
Oh, did he ever?
But, and that was another thing, like go back to the press conference here for a minute. We talked about like how he just started off just ripping on Colt Cabana and then it turns into the jackasses, the EVP jackasses, blah, 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 blah. And, talking about specifically Hangman Page, especially, but then also ripping into the Jacksons to Kenny Omega. Like he took personal digs at almost everybody in the Elite.
Right.
And that's supposed to be your guy. Tony Khan is sitting right next to him this whole time. This dude is literally shooting on your business partners in front of an entire room of reporters. And you're just sitting there and you don't know what to do. And I think that's a bad fucking look for everybody involved.
That's
there
bad.
Too.
Yeah, that's bad.
That makes Tony look
brutal.
I know.
Think how brutal it was in his head at that moment. Think about what was going through his mind while he was sitting there listening to this.
Part of me feels bad because I feel like that this is the moment that he realized I might be in a little over my head. And I think I might need to get an actual backstage crew.
You know how Vince McMahon has always had a director of talent relations? Mm-hmm. Tony Khan needs a director of talent relations.
Now, he's doing that. He's using like Tony Schiavone a lot. I think he's using I think Pat Buck and
but Pat Buck just got involved in that fight. He's out.
I
want to address that in a moment.
But he's at least like, I think he's at least starting to like, okay, I can't do all this. I need people with experience. So I think he's trying to move in that direction.
Good.
And listen, we spent, not the last week's AEW podcast episode. I didn't have a lot of great things to say about how not necessarily all Tony Khan's fault or anything, but clearly it's not like
put in a very tough situation
in a bad spot.
He needs
to be better. Happen. He needs to be better in those pressers of like shutting the reporters down. He needs to just not be there.
Or and hear me out, not do the pressers.
Yeah, but it still gets you media attention from all like the bloggers and the media people that you need.
It feels weird when people are asking really like insider rumor shit, and it's just like we just wrestled a match. I mean,
but like I watched the Forbidden Door one, and it definitely was more wrestling takes Like, right, like not to say it was all in kayfabe, brother, but it felt like they kept it to, like the show.
I mean, there would be nothing wrong with doing kind of kayfabe pressers.
Triple H does it essentially after a lot of the shows.
What do
But
they
it's
do in
also-
New Japan? Those are real reporters in New Japan, right?
I believe yes.
So
Jay
they
White
do the
wins the
presses
title,
over there,
but-
and they seem to make it work over there. So I don't see why AEW can't make it work. It's just, but like
can't.
if something like this is going on right in front of you, and
Cultures and different type of cocaine.
no, actually, you know what? I'm gonna take a step back and actually give that point to you, Skylar, because you're absolutely right. American journalists are probably some of the worst human beings in the world. I don't know how Japanese journalists are, but I know for a fact American journalists are probably some of the worst people in the world. So literally fucking will murder people for a picture or a story. They'll murder their mother for a fucking story most of the time.
Agreed.
Well, I mean, if the Yakuza get, well, no, maybe the Yakuza. I don't know.
Can you stop talking about the Yakuza before we all get murdered?
I know.
Thank you.
Hey, these guys with dozens of views are talking about us. Get them.
There's one thing I need to ask though.
Yeah.
So let me think here. Michael Takazawa, Pat Buck, Christopher Daniels, Brandon Cutler. Somebody please explain how they got involved and suspended.
I'm
don't sure know. They jumped into the fight. I'm sure that was a fucking schmoz, bro.
And also, please somebody explain to me when did Christopher Daniels become head of talent relations?
He's been that.
I did not know that. Interesting. Not bad for him.
I think
that's a good role for
a couple years ago.
Good for Christopher Daniels, but what the hell did you do?
But as far as this goes, I mean, listen, clearly the suspensions, at least for me, have to all I have to preface this with Punk has a bad injury anyway. So I think even if nothing happens, I still think we're in the same scenario with the world title. So it's not sure he was stripped, that's obviously
could you oh my God. Could you imagine if if this fight didn't happen and they just had to go on Dynamite on Wednesday and be like, oh, CM Punk's the interim champion again.
Yeah, because
can you imagine if they did that?
Because he did doing the tope suicida, he hurt his tricep or something.
Yeah.
So they said so either way, I think this whole tournament would have been happening anyway.
Part of me feels like they would have. I don't think he would have stripped the belt, or they would strip him.
Right.
But he would relinquish it because it's
you're hurt again, bro.
And I think they knew the first injury wasn't going to take that long.
Right. Whereas this is 6 to 9 months.
I heard 8 at an absolute minimum with.
Oh shit.
With very good. I heard a year's
right. But
reasonable.
It's so but that's beside the point. I just think he's going to be out for long enough. And
I didn't know his injury was that bad. If I knew that, if he's going to be out for a year, he might just be done.
That's what I'm.
In all honesty,
I'm thinking he might be done.
Towards tricep.
I didn't realize it was that bad.
Listen, time heals wounds. I would like to think that everybody can be adults and just hash their bullshit out. And people are saying, everyone's if these guys can just get their shit together, they'll make a ton of money doing some kind of angle over it.
Oh, 100%.
I hope they all do, but also just at the end of the day,
just don't do that angle with New Jack because he'll just leave.
I mean, he already did.
That you don't bail New Jack out of jail and then try to make an angle out of it because he'll just leave.
That's true. Shit, I had
a point. For me, it's just if Punk's there or not there, it's not going to make a difference to me. I'm still going to watch. Same with the Young Bucks, and honestly, even if the Young Bucks are gone, even if Kenny's gone, I feel like there's still enough star power that I would tune in.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And I hope that this is also a wake up call for Tony Khan to be because he clearly needs to be better at managing people. And signing all these guys and all these big stars and trying to manage his egos, he's in over his head. Yeah. Whereas maybe it wasn't so tough early on, and then through the pandemic. Whereas now you've been back to normal for a year. You're signing all these guys, a lot of egos. He needs to manage it better, and maybe just cut back on signing, and maybe be okay, this is a wake up call to we need our stars because not to mention all the injuries they've had. They need to kind of. It's almost felt like they hit pause on building stars, and now they're panicking, sort of. And all right, fuck it, Sammy Guevara, get out there, Darby Allin, get back out there in the spotlight and shit. Because I feel like all those guys have taken a back seat lately.
One quick counterpoint to my MJF point before. I bet you MJF's wishing that he waited like one more week to like come back because he probably could have got a shitload more money out of Tony now. Think about it.
Or I'm sort of wishing they didn't reveal him on the pay-per-view. If he came out on Dynamite and revealed himself.
No,
as a devil,
I was hoping the same thing. I was really hoping that they weren't going to reveal him at the end of the night.
I was hoping either he cashes in that chip like it's Money in the Bank, or they don't reveal it.
Yep. But I mean, I'm still just happy to see him back. But I think we should probably start wrapping this one up, though.
Oh yeah, no, we've went longer than
went overtime already.
But hey, listen, we needed a place to talk about this. Yeah. I'll just kind of reiterate my point of
your summarization.
It sucks that it happened. Again, my personal opinion is Punk to me just sounds. It feels like he's forever bitter that he never main evented a WrestleMania, and he's forever bitter about how his WWE run ended, even though you can call him one of the most successful champions, of like
in modern history
for the length of time. And it's just, it's kind of a shame because like whatever problems you might have. And I know he's always been one of those, fuck authority and fuck the man, whatever person you want to put in front of him. But I just don't like, yeah. But like, dude, like you were the guy. Like I didn't understand the constant whining and then all this stuff after you literally just won the world title for the second time. So it just none of it made sense to me. It comes off as whiny and bratty and bitter. And if he didn't return, I don't care. And I probably prefer that he didn't because I'm over it.
I'm gonna say my final thought on it, my Jerry Springer final thought would have to be that Tony Khan definitely has a lot of figuring out to do, obviously, right now. He's gonna have some big decisions to make, I think, down the pipe. And I think that if there are as many people in the locker room saying that Punk's not totally at fault here as there is, whether Punk comes back or not is regardless, Tony needs to figure out what the problem is with the Elite going forward and what the solution is going to be. Because if there are that many people in the locker room saying that the Elite are a problem and that CM Punk is absolutely right, and I don't think CM Punk was right in the way he went about in anything he did, but I don't know if he's right about the things he's saying, because he could be. I mean, he might be justified in everything he's saying. Just because he picked bad times to do it and bad ways to do it doesn't mean that the shit he's saying isn't true. So if that is the case and the Elite are the problem, Tony's definitely still going to have some big decisions to make. So I think that's something we got to look out for.
Also, last point is clearly the same stuff must have been happening with Cody. And that's why he's out.
That's probably why he got squeezed out. But, and hold on. And real quick, one more final point. And this is brought to you by Snapple. Squirrels lose more than half of their nuts that they hide.
I won't be.
There you go.
I won't be editing a Snapple ad because one, they exist and have a lot of money.
They still exist a lot.
And two, I'm not going to edit this video. I don't have time. I want to post it right away.
So let me get this out of the way. I'm wearing my Punk shirt. So on screen, I've always been a huge fan of his work. He might be my favorite wrestler. Sure, he's still out on that one, but there's a strong argument for him for what is on the screen. I understand he is a fucking dick in real life. He'd probably say the same thing. He just can't control it. Phrasing. But I think how this plays out is right now, Punk's going to be out. Is he going to be back? I don't think. I kind of think yes, but I also think he might come back just to say goodbye. But how well is that going to go over? I don't know. Tony has time to figure that one out, and that's why I don't think you're going to hear anything official on Punk for a while.
No.
because I think they might also try to look at it as, let's take some time to just chill the fuck out, calm down, fly back into Jacksonville, I guess. Or if Punk wants to, be a bit of a dick, be like, yeah, you guys come to Chicago, fuck you.
They're in Chicago enough anyway. They'll meet up.
Exactly. Maybe just like when they're on their way through a show, be like,
yeah,
hey, you'll give something for Meltzer. Tony Khan and everyone had to sit down while they were in Chicago. Ooh.
Yep.
Right.
Which I do, regardless of anything. I understand Punk's grievances with the media. That I have to agree with him with. Obviously, I think the whole thing was unprovoked. I will say that, and I will fault him for that very much.
Yep.
The backstage stuff, though, like every scenario kind of makes sense, and I don't know. I think I think I had to put it at 50-50 with this because part of me wouldn't mind seeing Punk back, but at the same time, obviously that's going to be fucking tricky.
Oh yeah.
And also, how's the fan base feel about it really? Outside of the smarks.
It's funny that you mentioned that because it does kind of seem that like a lot of the fans were already kind of turning on Punk before this match. But now that all this happened, like you're seeing, I feel like a lot of people turning on Punk, and I feel like a lot of people are kind of feeling the same way Mike is feeling, that he's just kind of ever bitter and ever whiny.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You're seeing a lot more of those memes like this.
I won't disagree with that.
Yeah.
Like I said, the shirt basically represents I was a fan of his career, which might make me, but not Phil Brooks. It's kind of like, all right, dude, you're an asshole. I'm sorry.
Yep. Listen, local man ruins everything.
Thank you, Simpsons. You have something for everything. So, I mean, now I'm starting to kind of doubt myself of whether he returned, but the real problem for Tony right now, as you guys said, is what to do with the elite. I think they should not be fucking EVPs.
Right.
They didn't. Did they financially put a stake in it?
Very little.
Probably little. The problem is though.
I feel like Cody would have too, though.
Yeah.
If the main issue is
Cody Rhodes, I'm sure still has plenty of fucking stock in AEW. Like, don't get me wrong. You know what I mean? Like,
I feel like that's a conflict of interest.
No, you can.
Although AEW's not public, so.
You can work for Walmart and own stock in Target.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough.
Listen, something to revisit on a later day, but this is probably the best platform to get this out. Not take up a full podcast episode to do this, but a little bonus for everybody. I hope you enjoyed the ramblings of madmen on the current
old man cycle. Yelling at clouds.
Basically,
that's what I've become. Hey, if you like this and you want more, hit that subscribe button. Hit the subscribe, the like, leave a comment, hit the bell down here, wherever it is on your screen.
Give us some ideas for topics.
I don't fucking know. Yeah, what do you want to hear about?
What do you want us to hear us talk about?
Anything. Give us suggestions. We're open. Hey. Again, and the link tree in the bio as well.
What's your dad like?
Subscribe to our shit. See you later. Peace.